Shalom. I think that one of the most beneficial skills that we can work to cultivate is the ability to listen. I think that it's a life-changing thing to be able to hear, and a lot of us don't have the capacity to really listen. And so we end up missing out on a lot of things. We end up getting involved in unnecessary conflict because we're not actually absorbing what's going on. Some people have a condition with their digestive system where even though they're eating the right foods with the necessary nutrients in it, when they eat it, their body has something that's causing them to not actually absorb the nutrients, and it's just passing through their body and coming out without them having absorbed the nutrients in it that were the beneficial part of it, right? So they're receiving and eating all this good food, but they're not absorbing it in their bodies. And that's kind of the situation when we are not developing the capacity to hear and to listen. We are taking in information, we're hearing people speak, but something is blocking us from actually absorbing the beneficial parts of it, and we're not receiving those things, and we end up hearing things that aren't being said. We end up, and the issue a lot of times is because our own mind and our own emotions are so active and so busy that we are responding. We're kind of on an autopilot where we're just responding to things, and we really have to take the time to kind of detox our mind and our emotions and pause and quiet ourselves inwardly and put ourselves in a space where we can actually hear and be in the moment of what's going on and hear what is being actually communicated to us in that moment, and not absorbing or filtering through a dirty lens, filtering through a lens that is clouded by things that are going on within us. So sometimes our mind is so busy, or our emotions are so kind of triggered from past wounds and past experiences, that when we are seeing similar things and hearing things that kind of bring that back up, we just start to respond based off of that. We're not responding based off of this individual person in this specific situation, but we're responding from the culmination of past experiences, right, or a single past experience. And so the capacity to listen requires us to quiet ourselves, quiet our minds, right, quiet our emotions. And when we are receiving some type of information, to be able to pause in that, right, and be able to filter through and make sure that we really understand what is happening in that moment. What is it that's being communicated? Asking questions either of ourselves or asking the person for more clarity, for more understanding, so that we can really receive what it is that is being said, and not walk away having received something which is not what was actually being fed to you, right? So, and this goes with any type of communication, if it's written or if it's in person or if it's from a person or from a group or from a book, whatever the case may be, we have to develop the skills to actually listen. The scripture says that it's folly to answer a matter before having heard it, right? If you try to answer something but you have not heard all of the details, you haven't seen the full picture of what's going on, but you try to answer it, like that's the scripture says that that's a foolish thing to do. So a lot of times we do that because we so quickly respond. We actually are not responding, we react, right? So we just we hear something and we just go autopilot. We're triggered, we just react instead of taking the time to be able to give a response that has been qualified, right? To qualify what we to process what's going on, and make sure that we are accurately receiving the information and understanding, and then responding, understanding the person, especially if we're if we're dealing with a person, understanding the fullness of what they're trying to communicate to us, by really pausing and listening. Sometimes we have our own tapes and dialogues that we just we have certain things that we say automatically every time, or we have certain things that we already think about the person or about the topic or about the situation, and we just kind of hit play and we just hit play every time, no matter who's talking or what they said or what different nuances may be there. We just hit play with the tape that's already in our head, and we just go with that every time, and we never stop to truly consider. So we have to allow ourselves to consider things, to evaluate things, to critically start to break things down, to digest, digest so that we can absorb the different parts of what we need to be able to receive from it. So we have to let our ego get out the way, our pride. We have to allow those things to be dismantled so that we are not acting as if we already know. We're not acting as if we don't need to know. We're not, blocking the ability to, whether it's receiving life-changing information that could affect and redirect the way that we are living or thinking or believing, being able to receive that information and understand it, or whether it's wisdom or insight, or whether it's something that is necessary to understand the person or in whatever relationships that we're dealing with, so that we can have a beneficial connection and a beneficial relationship in engaging with the person, being able to understand what's really going on and what the person needs us to hear and to know, right? So the communication skills are important, and the ability to speak is important. That's a good communication skill, to be able to speak and communicate something verbally. But I feel like one of the most beneficial skills, even greater than that, is listening and hearing, and being able to be an active listener and hearing, because people are speaking all day long, and people are communicating things to us all day long, and information is coming at us all day long. But if we aren't able to receive it as is intended, and we can't see it properly and process it properly, then what good is it to have the skill of communicating if nobody is able to listen and hear and receive it, and absorb it? You know what I'm saying? So it's a very important skill for us to have to benefit our lives. It'll make a powerful change in the dynamics of our relationships, our relationship in our inner world, because it'll be a healthier version of us to be able to have that capacity to pause and to quiet ourselves and to empty ourselves of our biases and all the things that we already are, got going on within us, to be able to, kind of detoxify those things and feel good about how we are responding versus just reacting. So it'll benefit us in our own inner world and in our own relationship with ourselves, but also it's going to powerfully change the dynamics of how we engage with people in our overall experience in life, for being able to truly walk in understanding, right? The scripture says, with all that get wisdom, but with all that get understanding, right? And that you can't understand without having listened, heard, evaluated, and it's such an important thing. So I wanted to share that today, and pray that we just will develop that capacity, and ask the Most High to help us to develop the capacity to listen, and to overcome the triggers and the wounds and the emotions and all the things that we wrestle with in our own minds and our hearts and our inner world, that blocks us from being able to do so, and to just make it an active practice, a conscious move that we make, and decision that we make, to be able to cultivate that skill. So shalom, shalom.